Welcome everyone, Dylan Gemelli here today with a brand new video for you. So today we are going to talk about Superdrol. Now, before we get into Superdrol, I have to reiterate to you that I'm not a doctor. Any information that I give you here is for your entertainment purposes only, and what you choose to do with this information is completely and utterly up to you. I'm not advising you, nor telling you, nor recommending to you to use any of these things that I talk about. So, let's get into Superdrol. Now, before I get into this, I'm sure many of you remember a video that I did quite some time ago about experiences with Superdrol. I'm going to be very impartial because I talked about how I didn't care for it and it was one of the worst experiences that I ever had. But this is a factual video. We're only going to talk about facts about it in general, because just because one person has an experience with something, just like when I spoke about Anadrol, I was very fair in my, talking and detailing of it. Just because I don't like it doesn't mean that the person talking about it shouldn't give the facts behind it, because not everything is for everybody. Not everybody likes the same sort of flavor of ice cream or pizza or the same foods or whatever. Just because a lot of people like it or certain people, that's not fair. And I always try to be fair and factual. So Superdrol actually dates back quite a long time, longer than probably many of you expect, into the 50s. It was actually researched by Syntex Corporation, and it was being researched as a compound with anti-tumor properties. So just a little interesting tidbit. Superdrol is very, very toxic. All right, it has the C17 alpha alkylation to it to allow it to safely pass through the liver. And actually, one thing that many of you may not know is that it's considered cousins with Masteron, which seems kind of polar opposite. But it's a very dry compound, and it's going to produce noticeable results after only maybe a couple weeks of use. The main issue here is that it was banned in 2011, making it illegal to manufacture. So anybody that's trying to get it now is going to have to go underground black market to get it. We do remember when that ban came down many years ago. Well, there's been several bans over the past decade, so to speak, but Superdrol was banned back in 2011. So a typical dose for Superdrol is going to be like 20 to 30 milligrams per day. Some people even going up to 40, depending on your experience, your specific goals, and your tolerability. Some people can barely do 10 milligrams of Superdrol and handle it. It's different from person to person. My advice is, well, if you're going to use it, which I don't think too many people do anymore, but I do know some that do and some people that do love it. If you're new to it, ease into it. Okay, you can always increase your dose, but once you go too high, you could just completely ruin it. So the best thing to do is to ease into it. Don't get too greedy and don't disrespect it, because it will disrespect you back like a million times over. So just remember that. Now, I wouldn't go on Superdrol any longer than 4 weeks. I just wouldn't. I don't recommend that in any way, shape, or form. If you want to attempt it, that's completely up to you, but I wouldn't do it. I also would recommend not running it on its own, because I'm not a fan of oral-only cycles, and I'm definitely not a fan of Superdrol on its own. That is up to you, but it would be much more easier, tolerable to run it as a kickstart, and at least with test. Just remember, though, the toxicity here is tremendously high. All right, it can really, really slam your liver. All right. And by doing so, it's going to make you really lethargic. It's going to really bring you down. It can make you kind of aggravated, so to speak. Headaches or something. And you definitely want to have a decent amount of carbohydrate intake, plenty of water, plenty of potassium with this. Okay? A lot of people lack potassium, and it can hurt you with anything in life, but especially in this situation and circumstance. You also have to be aware that it doesn't just hurt your liver, blood pressure, cholesterol, kidneys. You have to protect yourself all in ones, but you might want some added liver protection or some added blood pressure protection on top of this, because I'm telling you right now, it will do a number on you. It's also extremely, extremely suppressive. All right, so obviously all steroids are going to need a post-cycle therapy, but this is one that you've got to be aware of. All right, there's no estrogenic side effects here, which is very, very nice. All right, so you're not going to have any water retention while using this compound. One thing that I have to mention, though, that I have seen people report is that they've had some gynecomastia rebound after their cycle, And so I would definitely make sure that you're using Aromacin during post-cycle therapy, just in case. I haven't seen this with everybody, but if I see a circumstance or a situation that's happened more than a few times, I've got to at least let you know. I am not saying that it's going to happen to everybody, but it's something that you really should be aware of because I've seen it happen. So by doing that, you've got to know and understand it. Now, what can you expect with Superdrol? See, this is the thing. It's like risk versus reward, or how much can you handle to get what you want? Because you can get so strong and so much size in such a short period of time with Superdrol, it can be mind-blowing. A lot of people will tell you that it's stronger than Anadrol and Dbol. I would argue that it may not be as strong as Anadrol, but some people would argue right back on me due to their experiences, and that's fine and fair because everybody reacts and responds differently. Just let me tell you this, regardless of whether it's stronger than Anadrol or Dbol or not, it's neck and neck with them. And we all know those capabilities that both of those possess. So being, in that regard and being argued that it could be stronger than that, you can imagine the size that you get with that without the water retention, which was what makes it desirable to so many people and why I had the intrigue many years ago that I did with it, because it's like, oh wow, you can get all this size and not have the water retention. But you have to understand, generally speaking, the stronger the compound, the stronger the side effects. And if you can handle them, then more power to you, and you can get everything. And this is probably your favorite compound on the planet, but most people just have trouble with the side effects. And that's why I say ease into the dosing. Now, the half-life is approximately 8 to 9 hours, so you may want to split your dose up throughout the day. I have argued several times that, unless the half-life's like 5, 6, 7 hours, you don't necessarily have to split the dose, but 8 to 9 is kind of on that brink where you might want to do it. I have seen people that just take it once a day and are just fine and don't notice any difference, but on paper you may want to split the dose. All right, this is a very effective compound. It's just not for everybody. All right, it's not for first-time users or inexperienced users, so be aware of that. And it's just, it's not as practical as some other things out there, but like I said, for some people this is their favorite thing, and so be it. But I just wanted to give you all the facts on it, not just what I think about it, because I'm not a fan. All right, to me it's too harsh. It's not worth what you get out of it, but for some people it most certainly is. So just because I have an opinion on it doesn't take away from the facts. Dylan Gemelli signing off.